first, this is how the machine came. This is the packaged up Janome 2212. This is what we bought for our remote students. We got 5 of them, and then the other 3 students who need machines are going to take home these lovely Husqvarna Vikings that we had from another school that had closed their program. So today we're going to look at the Janome 2212. I have unpackaged the box. I have plugged in the machine, and I've taken everything out that you guys need to see. Actual pedal. So you have to make sure you take that out. My students are going to get these pedals inside like this when they're in their hard travel case. So you'll take out your pedal, and you're going to see that the pedal plugs in over here at the side. The actual cord has 3 semicircular prongs, and you'll see that it fits in there just like that. And then you can turn your machine on. That's where your power is, right there. Now also for the students to know, this actually removes. In some machines it flips up, it slides over, and there's a little storage space in there. The storage space was just that this little bag of tools that come with it was slid in the inside. So if you're one of my students and you're pulling it out, make sure that you grab that. This has a few feet. It has a screwdriver, it has some bobbins, it has some needles, and it has a buttonholer. Now my students aren't going to need all of this, so I'm actually going to take out what they don't need and just send what they need in that bag. So they're probably just going to get a zipper foot, they'll get some bobbins, and they have everything else they need. All right, so let's move along. So this slides off, and this actually is really good if you're doing something like a cuff or a hem on a leg. And that way it's not as bulky to try to fit something around. So if you're ever working on something and it's pretty narrow, this is a good idea. Take that front off. But if you're working on something regular, that little extension actually makes it a lot easier to work. So let's look at this machine. This is a very simple machine. This has a reverse button right here. Make sure that you always reverse at the front and the end of every seam that you do. The reason we do that is to lock the stitch. We lock the stitch so that the seams do not fall apart on us. This button up here is the stitch length. It tells you that right here. So we generally like to work with a 2.75 or a 3. That's your everyday stitch length. If you are just going to tack something together, it's called basting, then we baste at about a 4, okay? But for everyday use, we go to a 2.75 or a 3. The next button we have is actually your stitch selector. This is for you to decide which stitch you want to use, but generally we use a straight stitch unless we're going to do something on a stretch fabric, or if we're going to do an overcast stitch, and then we would use a zigzag. But usually we use an A, and that's if you want your needle in the middle. And if you want your needle to be to the left of the foot, then you would choose a B. Okay? And you'll see when I choose A, the needle is in the middle, but when I choose B, the needle moves over. You see that? That's the A, that's the B. Okay? The next thing that you need to know about is right here. This is called your tension dial. Do not touch this, period. Don't touch it, not at all. If you touch this, or if this accidentally gets touched, then you want to make sure, and I'll show you a picture of what happens if it does. So I'm going to insert the picture now. So that is actually showing us that our tension is not balanced. And what it means is we have a top thread that comes through the top of the machine, and we have a bottom thread that comes through the bottom of the machine, and those have to have an equal tension, or you get the problem that I just showed you in the picture. So that actually can be corrected by this, but really I don't ever touch this. This machine has 3, 4, and 5. You can see right up close, 3, 4, and 5 all have a square around it. 1, 2, and 6, 7, 8 won't. That means that on average, you're gonna always keep your tension at a 3, 4, or 5. And really, we don't change this unless we're getting into different kinds of fabrics, and that's kind of an advanced thing. So if you're just working with the fabrics that I'm giving you, we don't touch this, we just leave it alone, okay? Then the next thing you should know about is right here. This is your foot lever. This makes the foot go up and down. And we have to have the foot up to slide in our fabric. So that's when we slide our fabric in. And then we put it down, and then we sew, and the fabric will move. Now, the reason it moves is because the foot puts pressure on the fabric, and I'll show you if I can. I'm just gonna remove this. There we go. See these little lines here, 1, 2, 3. They have these little prickly things on them. They're teeth. These are called feed dogs, and they are what grabs the fabric. And when the fabric is on the feed dogs and the foot is on the machine, then you actually end up with the fabric moving without you pulling or pushing the fabric. It goes naturally because the feed dogs are working. Now the feed dogs can get turned on and off. On this machine, maybe they don't have it on this machine. This might be a basic machine. Can't turn them on and off. Okay, actually no, that doesn't bother me at all. Okay, so on some machines, there's usually a little lever right here that turns your feed dogs on and off. If these ever stop working, and your fabric doesn't seem to be going anywhere and you have your foot down, please get me on the call and I will help you troubleshoot that. Now also you will see on the plate here, we have measurements. Now we always want to use a measurement of a 1.5, so we will always line up our fabric to 1.5. So I'm going to put this in like this. I'm going to line up my fabric on that 1.5 line. I'm going to put my foot down, and now I can sew. This part between the seam and the 1.5 is called your seam allowance. That's important to know. And seam allowance needs to be the same all the way through. So anyway, so on some of the machines at the school, I actually put a small colorful piece of tape all the way down the front, and that's so that the students can always see that it's lined up. It's really, really easy, okay? So that's the next thing you need to know. And then I'm going to show you over here on the side of the machine, there's this little thing right here. This, believe it or not, has a razor blade in it, and that's to cut your thread. So if I had a piece of thread, see, I don't know if you can see that thread. There's thread. If I had a piece of thread and I pull it through that razor blade, it cuts that thread in half. So my thread is now cut in half. And it's actually really a lot faster than snipping, like a lot faster than snipping. So that's really the most important part about the pieces of the machine. Over here you will see your hand wheel. This is your hand wheel. You always want to make sure that you go away from you with the hand wheel, so always forward. And it's important to know that your hand wheel actually pops out. When it's popped out, it stops the needle from going up and down. And you need to know that for when you make a bobbin. So for now, we keep it popped in. There you go. And we only pop it out if we're gonna make a bobbin. So right now, we just put it right back in. We have a carrying handle. We have these lovely little thread spools. That's where the thread slides onto. And I think that's all I needed to show you about that. So next I'm just going to thread the machine, and then I'm going to, actually I'll make a bobbin first. So we'll make a bobbin and then I will thread the machine. Thanks for watching this video. This video was made for my students in my fashion class here in Ontario, Canada. But if this helped you at all, then I'm glad. And if you want to follow our little sewing journey or on any of the other things that I do in my spare time, please just click like, click subscribe, and then click the bell, because the bell will tell you when I am going to when I upload videos. I generally upload my videos from home on Sundays, but the ones from school, they put up as they're needed. Thanks very much for watching.